Warning: use of rebuildable atomizers can be dangerous. No one involved with the making of this video will be held liable for any damages that may occur during the use of any build. Please understand the limit of your battery, device, and atomizer. Stay within the limits and leave yourself a safety margin. Building too low may harm some devices, atomizers, or batteries. Attempt at your own risk.
What you want?
Hey guys, NitroBex. Taking a look here at the Phantom by Horizon Tech. This is an insanely large box for a tank. So let's go through the unboxing. On the outside, you have logo, a scratch off for authenticity. Contents of the kit, which is the tank, an extra head that's pre-built, a DIY, and some extra parts. You simply got the logo on this side. Front cover says Japanese organic cotton. Bottom has the logo. Top has BTDC 2.2 ohm 316 stainless steel wire, 30 to 70 watts. Safety phrases: a 25 amp or higher continuous discharge battery is required. Made in China. Got the Roche and the pertinent information there. So let's go ahead and open it up. So you pull it open. Now I do have some juice in here. I have been working with this so I can get an idea of it. You get this behemoth tank. Okay, so I'm just going to put some other quick things next to it so you can understand how large this is. So let's go with a Mutation X version 1. There you go. Let's go with the OBS tank. It's bigger than the OBS tank. Let's go with the Hercules tank. Much bigger than the Hercules. Super tank. Much bigger than the super tank. That's Super Tank Mini. Let's go with Super Tank full size. So you can see that this tank is an absolute behemoth. It is a huge tank. Now it does have some interesting features about it. Let's go ahead and get these off of here. Juice fill is actually in the center section of the tank. We're going to do a full breakdown on this here in a minute, but on the outside you do have the logo. You have 3 inlet ports for air, and it is adjustable, non-clicky. It does stay where you put it though, so it doesn't slide super easy, but it's easy enough to adjust with just a little bit of knurling that's on there. You have a 510, it's pretty flush, and you have a removable drip tip. So let me get the juice out of here and we'll start taking this thing apart and talk about it. Okay, so let's go ahead and break the tank down. I've already removed the coils from it. On the right I have the factory coil. It has 4 large juice inlets and 4 smaller juice inlets near the top, and a large port at the bottom for airflow. Okay, it is labeled 0.2, 30 to 70 watts, and it's got the BTDC2 on it. On this side, what we're going to put in is the rebuilt head. I went ahead and wicked it, built it. It's good to go. So taking apart the tank, grip tip of course is just pressure fit. Now unscrewing the tank, the top section will come off. Like so. And you can pull the top cap off, which has a post and an O-ring. You can take and separate out the glass section from the metal body if you wanted to, and there's O-rings on either side of this. and then the base comes off, and that's where the coil's going to go. Now, I have not figured a way to get this part apart. It seems like the bottom tank section does not come apart for some reason. So for whatever reason, I cannot get that apart, but that appears to be how the tank breaks apart. Okay, so to put the tank back together, you screw in your coil. We're going to be trying the rebuilt coil on this one. Screw on the lower section of the tank. You're going to place this on. Now, nothing holds that on until you put the top part on, which screws in. And we'll get this all nice and tight. Okay. And then the drip tip press fits in. So that's how you assemble the tank. We'll get this cleaned up and we'll go ahead and get this thing filled. Okay, now inside of the box, when you pull that out, you are greeted with the instruction manual, which is actually kind of cool on their little logo paper. You have a parts kit and tools that you're going to need for the DIY deck, the rebuildable head. You have a pad of Japanese organic cotton. You have, now this did come in plastic wrap, but I've already went ahead and built it. This is the RBA head, and we're going to have an interesting look at that, as well as the replacement 0.2 pre-built head, which, as you see, is still in the plastic wrapping. Okay, so this is the rebuildable head for the Phantom. We're going to go ahead and disassemble it. You have a top section and a bottom section. Going over the top section, you have the part where the vapor comes up. You have a little tiny hole there. That's actually where your coil is going to come out. Okay, so part where the vapor comes out, the little tiny hole for your coil. You have a little tiny grub screw in there that takes an Allen key. You have two ports that your wick will come out of. You have an O-ring. Now on the base of the deck, you have, starting from the bottom, a little hole where the coil will come out. Once again, you have a little tiny grub screw. It's right there. You have 4 ports for air to come in, and that's it. So to put this together, in the kit comes this rod and an Allen key. Now I found a slight issue is the rod is larger than the wick hole. So what I'm going to use instead of using the rod it came with is the Coil Master version 3 with the 3.5 rod. The 3.5 rod fits very snug through there, but with enough room to move around. You're also going to need a pair of flat pliers. This will make sense in a minute. A coil that you've compressed as much as possible. So let's start working on this. I'm going to clean up my work area a little bit. What you actually want to start out with is the pliers and the coil. Now, one of the problems is since you're going into the top and the bottom of the deck, you want to get this wire as straight as possible. So this is where the flat pliers come in. We're going to take as many kinks out as possible just by pressing the legs. The straighter it is, the better. Okay, so we have those legs fairly straight. Now you start with the top section, and what you're going to do is take the shortest leg on your coil and feed it through that top hole. Then you're going to grab your Coil Master and try to line it up and then poke the rod of the Coil Master through the coil and the airflows. Okay, so we have that on there like that. If I bring it up to the camera, you can see the coil is on the coil master, and the coil master's through both air holes. Now you take your base section, and I like to leave the bottom leg a little long. This is probably a little too long, but everything on video is harder. So you thread that through that bottom post, take it up, and screw it down. So what we got right now is the coil is going through both holes. The coil master is through the coil and through the juice holes. You're going to find your little grub screws, and you're going to go ahead and tighten them down. You want to get them nice and snug. Alright, and then you pull the rod out, and you have a perfect shot through the center for your wick. What we're going to do is take and feed our wick all the way through. Okay, to fill the tank is kind of interesting. You're going to look for the slot on the center section of the tank and hold on to the center section and twist, and it's going to open up a channel in there. Okay, so as you can see, that's open. I'm able to put my tweezers down in it. Now I have noticed that thinner liquids work better with this. I'm currently using a 70% VG, 30% PG liquid. And you put the tank dead on its side and start filling. Now you do want to take your time with filling the tank, so I'm probably going to time lapse this. Okay, so there we have the tank filled. We're going to go ahead and simply rotate the fill port to close it off. Turn it right side up. Now, normally what I would recommend is dripping a drop straight down the center, but an interesting feature in the center part of this tank is there's a plate that stops it from going straight through. Now what that does is anything that comes up and starts to condenses on that plate and goes back down into the coil. Also, if your coil was to pop, it doesn't shoot juice up the tip. That keeps you from getting juice in your mouth, basically, which is actually a really cool feature of it. It also deflects a lot of the heat. This vape is an amazingly cold vape compared to other tanks. So let's go ahead, we're going to go ahead and load this up on a device, and we'll vape it a little bit. Okay, so that's a look at the Phantom tank. Now, a couple thoughts on it. At a recreational vape pace, yes, it will be able to go up to the 80 watt mark, both on the rebuild head, depending on your coil build, and the factory head. However, I found for chain vaping or extreme vaping, around about 50 seemed to be the mark where it could keep up with the wicking on a 70-30 juice. This tank likes thinner juice. I would even probably recommend going to 50-50 for this style tank. The flavor on this tank is actually pretty phenomenal, considering on the stock coils, it's stainless steel. It's got great flavor off of those. Your rebuild coil is going to accord to how you build it. The vape on this is extremely cool. Even running it wide open at 80 watts, the top section of the tank never gets hot. The middle section of the tank where you fill it does get hot. It's a tall, big, heavy tank. Holds about 4.5 to 5 mils of juice. The side fill is very interesting. It does take a little bit to fill it, especially with thicker juices. Overall, this would be a very, very comfortable all-day vape for somebody that doesn't like heat but is looking for that flavor. See you again next time, guys.